2 series played, 2 series wins. The Reds are doing exactly what we said they needed to do. Let's go.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Reds with myself, Jeff Carr, and my co-host, Stephen Offenbaker. We are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans that have turned an addiction into this team, into information for you. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every single day, whether it's rain, whether it's shine. There's a lot of rain and cold in Philadelphia, but the Reds got it done. And we are going to be all about it here on today's Locked On Reds podcast. Thank you for making us part of your day. If you are a first-timer, make sure that you subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and on YouTube as well. If you want to watch us, encourage you. If you're out and about, if you're driving, if you're working out, whatever, take us with you on your favorite podcasting app. Got a link down in the description of today's podcast to your favorite podcasting app if you don't already subscribe there. Our everydayers are really what makes this show go, and everydayers will know we have been saying all throughout spring training, all throughout the offseason really, you gotta start fast. And that's exactly what it looks like these Reds are doing. And really, when it comes to this first part of the season, it sort of felt like the knee-jerk reaction surrounding the bullpen of this team was bad. But we're going to get into why that's wrong coming up later on in the show. Frankie Montas came in here with a lot to prove, and it already feels like he's starting to turn heads early on in this season. We'll get into that in a few minutes, but first we have to start with this big-time series dub in Philadelphia. Before we get to all of that, I wanted to let you know today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, Steve. That is 2 series wins. I don't know about this. I mean, this is some deep analytical stuff here. But if you're going to win 2 out of 3, you're probably a playoff team.
That's kind of the way it looks. I mean, you can't expect a team to go 162-0 in a season. It's never been done before. It's not going to happen. But if you win every series that you play, the odds are you're going to be into the playoffs. So this is the right start. Look, what we've talked about with this team is the Reds have been notoriously bad in April. We have suffered some excruciating Aprils around here. And what you and I have been talking about since the offseason, especially when you look at the upcoming schedule in May, is that this team had to have a fast start. This team had to go out and do something different, which was win baseball games in April. 2 series wins. That's exactly what they've done. You can't win them all, but you got to win the majority of them.
And we got to kind of break this down a little bit because Reds being 4-2, they're tied with the Cubs now in 3rd place in the NL Central. Not really scoreboard watching this early on as much as we want to root for our division foes to lose. But I mean, come on, there's plenty of season left. But nice to see this start from the Reds. And it really comes down to a lot of different things working in their favor. And it all came together on Wednesday night, which, it was supposed to be a Wednesday 1:00 game. Then it turned into a Wednesday 4:00 game. Then it turned into a Wednesday 7:30 game. Then it turned into I'm just glad they got this in. And it was funny, too, because we talked before this series. I don't know if you know, a quick sidebar. I don't know if you heard this, but the Reds and the Phillies had a mutual off day on Thursday. So we kept saying, yeah, they'll get the game in on Thursday. Well, somebody's getting married at the Citizens Bank ballpark on Thursday. So I guess that wasn't going to happen at all because they played in some crappy conditions.
Whoever is in charge of booking events at that ballpark was sweating. Because if they didn't get this game in, they were going, I imagine somebody's job might have been on the line. And here's the other piece of that, Jeff, before we move in to how it went in Philadelphia. Getting that game in last night now gives the Reds a huge advantage heading into the weekend series with the Mets, because the Mets are playing a doubleheader against the Tigers today. That means they're going to come in with a gassed bullpen, and that is to the Reds' advantage.
And especially for a Mets team that's actually started off the antithesis of what the Reds have started off with. And the reason that they've done so well, one of the things that was huge in this game for the Reds to win was the fact that they just laced extra base hit after extra base hit into the outfield. They had 6 total hits as a team. 5 of those hits were extra bases. You had 4 doubles and 1 triple. Shout out Spencer Steer going for the triple. He's got like a series cycle going on. Like I get it. The Philadelphia had a lot of fun with Bryce Harper in game 2, but if I'm a Phillies fan, I'm really happy to see Spencer Steer go.
Oh, the boo birds in the Philadelphia crowd just warmed my heart. And I'm sure it warmed Spencer Steer's heart as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. 6 hits. Six hits on the day, and 5 of them were extra base hits. And how glad are we that they did not bench or send down Elly De La Cruz? He was very key in this game. And, I was nice to see Elly redeem himself. We spent a lot of time talking about the things that went wrong the day before. So I do want to take a second and shout out the things that went right last night, which is Elly looked good at the plate. There was some timely hitting there. He played the field well. There were no problems. I think he learned from his mistakes, and we're going to move on from that.
And on top of the hitting, I mean, they kind of played, this is really more of a football term, but it kind of works here, complementary baseball, where they were able to score plenty of runs and work with runners in scoring position, and the pitching was just all over it. I mean, Frankie Montas looks fantastic. We're going to really dive into him in just a few minutes, but he looked fantastic in this game. Kind of felt like in this, they're really trying to get him through the 6th inning, get him that quality start, and it just felt like he ran out of gas there, really stopped locating his pitches, especially that breaking ball and the split finger that really had been just baffling Phillies hitters up to that point. But Justin Wilson came in, nailed down
How big was that out? How big clutch key moment was Justin Wilson coming in with the bases loaded? That was big time. Absolutely big time.
Nothing.
And I will say this with the pitching as a whole, we're talking about what is the difference? Why is this team different this April than April's past? It's where you're talking about right now with the starting pitching. In this 3-game series, Andrew Abbott got into the 6th inning. Graham Ashcraft got into the 6th inning. Frankie Montas got into the 6th inning. That is the difference. Gone are the days of Luke Weaver and Luis Sessa and Connor Overton being gone after 3 2/3. That is the difference in why this team is excelling right now.
Yeah, and the fact that you only need to get 9 outs instead of 12 or 15, huge for this bullpen that put it all together last night. Alexis Diaz getting his first save. Fernando Cruz, oh my goodness, JT Realmuto is still trying to figure out what the heck just happened in that at bat, because he swings right over the top of 2 back-to-back splitters that dug up dirt. And in fact, on strike 3, Tyler Stevenson had to corral it and throw it down to first. That's how crazy that pitch was. But Fernando Cruz looks really on it right now. And I feel like he is one of those guys that, we'll talk about a little bit more as we get into the bullpen segment here later on in the show. But ultimately, a just complete team win. And shout out to a team that is much maligned early on for their fielding, the Cincinnati Reds, in a game where just the conditions were crazy. The wind was howling. If anything got up in the air, it's like the jet stream was only like 10 feet off the ground. So if they were looking at a fly ball here, all of a sudden it's over there. There were no cases where they got bit in the butt by one of those fly balls that just happens to fall.
No, the only real thing that happened as a result of that, of Tyler Stevenson dropped a ball, and we saw JT Realmuto also drop a ball. On many occasions, the camera tracked the ball to what should have been a fly ball to an outfielder that was on the infield, and on many occasions, the camera tracked to the first baseman, and the catcher was trying to make the play. The wind was something else in Philadelphia last night. I do want to make mention also of the small kerfluffle, the small huddle when Alexis Diaz came into the game, and apparently the entire umpiring crew converged on Alexis Diaz, and everybody's feeling his hands. And it seems like there's going to be a report made to Major League Baseball. If you weren't listening to the radio broadcast, Cowboy Jeff Brantley said that what he thinks happened was Alexis Diaz was using a lot of rosin in the bullpen because of the weather conditions, and that's going to make your hand feel sticky tacky. That sounds reasonable to me. Hopefully that sounds reasonable to Major League Baseball. I don't think there'll be any penalties that come from that, but I do know from the television broadcast, Chris Welsh said a report will now be filed with Major League Baseball and they'll take it from there.
I just thought they were really jealous of like his moisturizing or something, or maybe it was
he got his nails done. Maybe he had
it could be what it is.
Yeah.
It could be what it is. But no, that was a little bit, because I remember that, they come back from, I was listening to it at this point, but they came back from their commercial break and Tommy Thrall was just like, and they finally just broke the conference that the umpires were having about Alexis Diaz and the sticky stuff, and Jeff Brantley went into his spiel, and I appreciated Cowboy for that, the way that he kind of laid it down. It's like, yeah, when you're in the bullpen and you didn't get rained on for 3 hours, then you're probably going to feel a little bit, feel like your hands got a little bit of sticky stuff on them. Alexis Diaz ain't a sticky stuff guy, though, so stop it with that narrative. Anyway, this is what the Reds needed. This start to the season, the fact that they're 4-2 coming out of the first 6, is exactly what we've been talking about all season long.
All right. Something else we've been talking about is Frankie Montas, and he has shown us why he was named the Reds' #1 starter. And coming up, we're going to break down how he's been exactly what this pitching staff has needed. We've got that coming up next. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks to exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your #1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Motors. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers.
If you're looking for the best way to go to your next ball game, you need Game Time. Download the Game Time app today on your phone and be just like Steve and myself, where we go down to the banks, we hang out, we wait close to first pitch, and we check on the Game Time app to see those last-minute deals. That is how you work it out. During this season, there's going to be a lot of fun games to go to, whether it be the division rivals with the Cubs and the Cardinals and the Brewers and the Pirates and all that stuff, or if you want to see some big-time players that you don't typically get to see, like when the Dodgers come to town and Shohei Ohtani's here and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and, well, all of the millions and billions of dollars they've spent on their entire roster, Game Time's going to help you out with that. Plus, for a limited time up until April 14th, use code FIRSTPITCH. All users, not just first-time users, but all users can use the code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off a minimum $150 purchase. Again, that's FIRSTPITCH for $20 off a $150 purchase for all users on the Game Time app. Download it today and get to the ballpark, because they've got the last-minute deals at the lowest price, guaranteed.
Look at you with the spelling. Good job, Jeff. Hey, have y'all been watching Fox Sports or ESPN, one of the national sports television shows? Has the volume just really got to you? Have you had to turn it down? It's really loud, lots of shouting. You can make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming sports channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up on our next episode, we're going to get you set for the weekend series as the tired, beleaguered doubleheader playing New York Mets come to town, and hopefully the Reds are going to seize on every advantage that gives them. We're going to get you all set for that tomorrow. We still got a lot to talk about today, though, Jeff. And we spent a little bit of time talking about Frankie Montas, but Montas, I don't know. The pronunciation guide's wrong. And you're talking to a guy that screws up the names anyway. So that's increasingly difficult for me. But Frankie has made it not look difficult. Frankie has, in fact, made it look pretty easy since he made the opening day start in Cincinnati. 2 starts now. Both times he got into the 6th inning. Excuse me, both times he has looked very, very good. He has looked to be that stabilizing factor, that veteran leadership, that example setter that this rotation has lacked. And I think he is exactly what the doctor had ordered for this rotation to help elevate it to a playoff contending rotation.
Yeah, I mean, out of the gate, he looks healthy, right? That was the biggest question is how is he going to come back from the labrum surgery and the shoulder surgery that he had that limited him to just 1 inning last year? I have no concerns at this point. Now, it's a long season, and who knows what's going to happen down the road, but these first 2 starts have me thinking, like, this was who we were looking for. We were looking for a 6-inning guy. We were looking for that guy that every 5th day you know exactly what you're going to get. He's been very efficient with his pitches. He is not a guy, he had 5 strikeouts today. He's not a guy that's looking to stuff the stat sheets. He's just looking to get the outs and get his lineup back on the field. That's all we need. That's all we were looking for. And as much as, we were trying to say, like, the big time Blake Snells and the Jordan Montgomerys and all that other stuff of the world, I think that as the season goes along and as Montas continues to be healthy and pitch like this, he's going to make Nick Krall just look like a friggin' genius.
Yeah, and I like how David Bell and Derek Johnson have handled him over these 2 starts. In that first start on opening day, he threw 84 pitches, I think is what it was. Yep. Got him out of there after 6th. Everybody was wanting him to go more, but I thought that was the smart move. Get him out, kind of keep that pitch count under control. Remember, this is a guy that threw 1 1/3 innings last year coming off a shoulder injury. I think stretching him out needs to be a little bit more of a delicate process. So I also didn't have a problem last night when he was in the 6th inning and around 90 pitches, Derek Johnson comes out and they give him that one more batter. He ultimately went to 100 pitches on the night, but he was clearly gassed, right? Chris Welsh was saying on the television broadcast, this is how you stretch him out. You give him another inning, keep it developing. I think him throwing about 20 more pitches this time than last time, that seems reasonable to me. Next start, we're going to look for him to be at about 100 pitches again and continue to progress him. What we've seen from him, though, before he ran out of gas there, in Philadelphia last night and throughout that whole start at Great American Ballpark on opening day was a guy that was in command, a guy that was in control, and a guy that was keeping the hitters off balance. That was really the key. He never really allowed any hard contact for the most part, save Kyle Schwarber. But then Kyle Schwarber got all of the contact on that particular pitch.
He hit that ball to Middletown.
Jeff. Wow. Yeah, he did.
Is there a Middletown in Pennsylvania? There might.
I don't know, but if there is, he hit the ball to it. You're absolutely right. No, I think Frankie Montas has really, when they signed him, Jeff, I wasn't thinking ace. I was thinking that this was a reasonable addition to the bullpen. We were kind of caught off guard when they gave him the opening day start instead of Hunter Green. But it seems like it was exactly the right move. And I really like the tone that he is setting for the other pitchers.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, right? And the different things that he can bring to the table, I think that he has no problem sharing and, talking with the other pitchers. We've talked a lot about Hunter working on a splitter and stuff like this. Frankie Montas has an amazing splitter. Would love it if he somehow, emulated that Hunter, if Hunter emulated Frankie Montas there, but also just the efficiency and the way that he goes about his starts. Like, he never looks flustered. There's never a situation where he's on the mound and you're just like, is he okay? Like, did that last, event rattle him a little bit? Is he bothered by what's going on in this game? He looks very focused all the time. And I feel like that not only helps the pitching staff, but it permeates the rest of the team. And it gives them a sort of confidence knowing that our dude's on the mound. We don't have to go out and score 6. Now we're going to try. But if we score 2, 3, 4, we can still feel pretty confident that Frankie Montas is going to give us the best chance to win that ball game. And I'm very happy with what he has brought to the table, because the question was, what is he going to be like? Coming off that shoulder surgery, there's a lot of different, studies and different things that people have done about different players that have gone through that type of surgery and come back to pitch, and there's mixed results. It's a mixed bag as to how good they are, how quickly. And the question was, we talked a lot about the fact that he finished high up in the Cy Young Award a couple of years ago. Is that who we're getting? Or is it going to be some dumbed down version of that? It's too early to tell. It's too early to go crazy with this. But through first 2 starts of the season, he looks a lot more like that Cy Young guy that we talked about.
Yeah, 2 starts in, 2-0, 11 and 2/3 innings pitched, and a 0.77 ERA.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take him continuing to be that guy for sure. And the added bonus of all of the Yankees fans being ticked off that this guy got away. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Something about former Rays going through the Yankees, ticking off Yankees fans, and then coming to Derek Johnson and Derek Johnson getting them all figured out. I love that. And to be honest with you too, there's one thing, and talking about Frankie Montas, there's one thing that we neglected to mention from this game, and that was the injury to Jeimer Candelario. Now, there's not been any concrete reporting as to what it is. David Bell did give some thoughts and what the trainers had to say after the game.
A little bit. Hopefully it's just like a little hyperextension of the elbow. Hopefully it's nothing serious. We don't think it is, but we'll reevaluate him on Friday. So he was able to still swing, but we're cautious with having him go back and having to throw, especially in the weather. We think it was just kind of hyperextended a little bit, and not a lot of concern from our trainers, so hopefully that's fine.
Oh boy. Well, if David Bell is looking into a camera or speaking into a microphone and saying that he's not concerned, it makes me a little concerned. I listen. I think Jeimer Candelario is a tremendous addition to this team. I think his veteran presence is just nothing but elevating for everybody around him. I want him to be healthy. I'm concerned. We saw the video. I shared it on my X feed, Jeff, of him. I pulled it off of the Bally screen grab of him pointing at his elbow. I'm concerned that this could be a ligament, a UCL. That's more commonly known. That's the ligament that leads to a Tommy John surgery. I don't want it to be that. I hope that it's not that. We're going to remain cautiously optimistic, but there was a whole lot of we're not sure in what David Bell just said. So hopefully we get an update on that sometime today, and it truly is nothing, and we move on from this.
I hope for once that he's right, because here recently it's been David Bell says it's okay, so it's probably not okay. So I'm a little bit concerned from that angle. From the other side of this, like, the depth of this roster has already been tested. Like, if one more guy goes down, this is going to be tough. This is going to mean Santiago Espinal is going to play a lot more, and we'll get into that, what that might mean if there is more news on this. But as of right now, cautiously optimistic, maybe holding our breath a little bit. We'll see. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there, because as we know, this is the reporting. We'll see more probably on Friday, the off day. I bet there will not be any reporting until Friday. All right, Steve, we mentioned this already. The bullpen looked fantastic last night. The bullpens looked fantastic for a couple of nights. So that knee-jerk reaction that we had early on in the season about them being bad and us being worried about them, that's wrong. Dead wrong. I'm going to tell you why coming up next. There's so much sports on the calendar, you can really get in on all the action with PrizePicks and make some money off some great daily fantasy. They are the #1 fantasy sports app because of all the different things that you can do. You can make up to 100 times your money. You're talking about turning $10 into $1,000 with as little as 4 picks on PrizePicks. All you got to do is pick your favorite stat categories on your favorite players and your favorite sports, and just click more or less. It's that easy. You're not playing against a million other people, and you got to come in, 400th place or whatever to be in the money. It's literally you against the system when it comes to the stats. And when you're looking at baseball, you've got strikeouts, you got home runs, you got hits, runs, and RBIs. I love that combination each and every day. You can also go by hitters' fantasy scores and things like that. PrizePicks has so many options for you, and all you got to do is click more or less. Plus, when you download the app today, use code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase by the way, LOCKEDONMLB, to get a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase. When you download the PrizePicks app, they'll match up to $100 on your first deposit. PrizePicks, all you got to do is pick more, or you pick less. That's it. It's that easy, and you're in the money. Join the Locked On Reds Insiders group today. If you text the word INSIDER to 513-597-0944, you can join me, and I'm going to help you become the Reds guy or gal of your friend group. If anybody looking for Reds information, they're going to come to you because we're going to make you a smarter Reds fan. And we're just going to have some fun talking Reds baseball all throughout the season. That's $4.99 a month. But if you text INSIDER to 513-597-0944, you get a free 14-day trial to see if you like it. I hope you do that. And also go to InsideTheReds.com. We're writing about the Reds as much as we're talking about the Reds as well. That's InsideTheReds.com. Bookmark it today. And join the Locked On Reds Discord group. Seriously, ton of ways to talk Reds all day, every day, during the show and in between shows.
Jeff,
right,
can I tell you that we're going to talk about this bullpen, and I've got my bullpen jacket on because it is stinking cold. It looked cold in Philadelphia last night, and while I'm watching the players freeze thinking, I'm glad I'm not out there in that, it started snowing. I can't wait to get back to my beaches. I'm just telling you, I forgot how psychotic Ohio weather is until I'm back here and having to deal with it in person.
Psychotic's the right word, because we were wearing shorts and flip-flops 3 days ago, and now it's like bundle up if you're taking a puppy outside, because my goodness, it's freaking cold and wet and rainy, and if you're up where Steve is, snowy. But yeah, let's talk about this bullpen, because this is going to warm us up, make us all warm and fuzzy, because the first couple of days we were worried. First couple of days, Alexis Diaz blew up, looked bad. Emilio Pagan, looked bad. TJ Antone didn't know where his pitches were going. All these different things. And while different performances throughout the year will crop up, because Brent Suter did look amazing on opening day, got roughed up on at Tuesday's game. Relief pitching is a fickle thing, but they have all righted the ship in a big way over the last few games.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's really worried about Suter. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, just the weather conditions that he was pitching in. Plus, again, that was the error-fueled monstrosity of a game that was going on. I don't know that I count that. Suter's had multiple appearances now and has looked good in all of them but that one. So I think that's the outlier. We'll throw that one out. But you're right. Pagan has looked so much better. TJ Antone, while that second appearance started out maybe questionable, he dialed in, and you could see where he dialed in, and that was what was lacking from the first appearance. So that was really good to see. Buck Farmer is one that we're still waiting to see if he's going to turn the corner. He's given up a couple hard contact home runs, but I think he's going to figure it out. And then, of course, Alexis Diaz. So now 3 appearances on the season. The first one was bad. The rest has been good. And especially the second appearance where he went 5 out on 14 pitches and really was dialed in. I think we all flipped out just because we spent so much time talking about this is the strength of the team. The offseason, we heard so much about the money that the Reds invested in overhauling this bullpen. So when the new shiny toy came out with mud all over it, it was a little problematic.
And last night too, like Diaz, the way that he pitched, it was funny because I was listening in the car and told friends in the car, I'm like, oof, he went 2-0 on the first hitter, buckle up. And then he struck out the first hitter. And then he got the next guy pretty easily. He got the next guy. Like, he did allow a single, but ultimately that was an Alexis Diaz inning. That was Alexis Diaz dominating the guys that he was facing from the Phillies. And while I don't necessarily need to see him get a ton of saves this year, like, I love the fact that they can go to him in those spots. But I also love the high leverage stuff too. The 5 outs that he got a couple of days ago was not in a save situation. It was just the fact that the Phillies' heart of the order was coming up. So let's bring in Diaz to shut him down. Love that. Absolutely love that. And I hope that they continue. I hope David Bell continues to use this bullpen as he sees fit in those different ways, because I don't necessarily think you need like closer, he has to pitch the end of the game roles, setup man has to pitch the eighth inning, hard and fast things like that. You just have a pecking order. And that pecking order is Diaz at the top, and then you can kind of intermix some of the guys below him. I thought that, it was nice to see Lucas Sims pitch pretty well last night. Fernando Cruz as well pitched pretty well. Like, there's a lot of different guys that you can call on in there that I think makes this bullpen such a unique strength, in that not everybody has to go out and pitch a full inning, right? A couple of years ago,
Right.
You had just Diaz and Sims, and even a couple of years before that, you just had Antone and Sims. So it felt like whenever Sims came in, he better be on it, because we're really not wanting to go back to the bullpen and call anybody else in there. It's not like that now.
No, and that's exactly where I was going to go. It was nice to see that even though Lucas Sims made a mistake last night and walked a batter, he recovered from it. It didn't turn into a thing, and that's a big difference that we're seeing with the bullpen now. They are not allowing these to become things when there are mistakes. So let me ask you this: with the little bit of time we've got left, we've been keeping track down in Louisville. Sam Mull is down there on a rehab assignment. Nick Lodolo is going to be making his second start in the next day or so. And then we expect to see him back in this Reds rotation the next time through. Who's getting sent down? Who's going to be the guy to go to Louisville to make room for Nick Lodolo? Who's going to be the guy to go down and make room for Sam Mull when he's ready, probably in the next week as well?
Well, there's definitely some ways you can finagle this. I don't think, and everyone's going to say this, I don't think the Reds are going to give up on Buck Farmer this quickly. They signed him for $2.5 million. They're not going to give him 2 weeks and 3 appearances or 4 appearances, whatever it is, to say, okay, well, now that everybody's healthy, we're just going to get rid of him. Does that mean that they are sending down Andrew Abbott to AAA?
I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
Because it's got to be
start.
2 moves, right? Like Sam Mull comes up.
Well,
then that's probably Antone.
I don't know that it does. I mean, it does have to be 2 moves, Lodolo and Mull, but I think we're probably talking about Cruz and Antone with Nick Martinez sliding into the bullpen. It's going to be very interesting because I don't see how you send Andrew Abbott down after what he did in his first start. He needs at least to get one more start, and if his second start's as good as his first, how do you send him down?
Right. And that's the thing too. Like, as much as I love Fernando Cruz and I love watching him pitch out of the bullpen, if you compare him to Andrew Abbott, there's no comparison. Like, Andrew Abbott stays. So that's what I think, want it to be.
Yeah, I think what happens, Jeff, I think where we end up is kind of where Nick Krall was carefully leading us in the offseason. There's going to be these spare parts in Louisville, and there's going to be that shuttle bus going back and forth. And there's going to be guys that are a little tweaked, a little tired, need a minute. And there's going to be this swapping, this parts swapping that goes on all throughout the summer. And at the end of that, what you've got is a bullpen that's still fresh in September, October. And I think ultimately Nick Krall's been playing chess while some people were playing checkers. And this was the plan all along, to have really good people stashed at Louisville and start subbing them through.
Man, if only the position side was as healthy as the pitching side is about to be. That's knock on wood, by the way, knock on wood. But that'd be absolutely amazing. But you know what? That is the perfect spot to end it today. Thank you so much for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. Coming at you tomorrow, we're going to have a Mets series preview as the Reds come back home, and they start the homestand with the New York Mets. But it won't be till Friday. Got an off day today, so, stretch your legs a little bit. I don't know. Maybe people are still. Do they have standing room only at that wedding there at the Citizens Bank ballpark there? Maybe go check that. I don't know. I probably don't want to do that. But make sure that you stay with us all the rest of this week and all the rest of this season. Because why, Steve?
Because we're going to keep you locked on Reds every single day.